Well, I guess we're not gonna see the Iconics or Buddy Murphy on a WWE poster again. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Anyway, how's it going, everybody? My name is Rigel Maximus here, back again for another video, and today I'm going to be doing my first ever WWE pay-per-view review, which is kind of hard to say. I'll come up with a better name at some other point. But anyway, today I'm going to be reviewing this past Saturday night's WWE special in Melbourne, Australia called Super Showdown, which sounds really dumb. Just gonna throw that out there as well. I think that this pay-per-view had a really stupid name. Super Showdown just sounds dumb to me. And another thing I just gotta get off my chest before I officially get into the review is that I do think this was a lot better than Greatest Royal Rumble. A lot of people are gonna be comparing this to Greatest Royal Rumble because it's the second big WWE pay-per-view this year that's not in the United States. And a lot of people were really critical of Greatest Royal Rumble because they brought politics into it. That's why they didn't like it. Personally, I didn't like Greatest Royal Rumble because it was filled with botches, none of the titles changed, and the winner of the Royal Rumble, Braun Strowman, didn't even get a world title match. So, it was just a bad pay-per-view in my opinion. The only redeeming quality of that pay-per-view is this Cruiserweight title match between Kalisto and Cedric Alexander. That was the only good thing about that pay-per-view. This pay-per-view, on the other hand, I can definitely say is much better than Greatest Royal Rumble, but it's still by far not a great pay-per-view. And let me explain why. Watching this show, it became really, really apparent to me, something that's been in my head for a while, but I've been trying to push off because I'm a WWE loyalist, and that's, I don't know how to say this. WWE is killing its talent, slowly, maliciously, purposely. It feels like they're deliberately taking their best former indie darlings and just destroying them. I don't know why they're wasting so much talent, and the waste of talent felt no more apparent than it did at Super Showdown, because people like Kevin Owens, Elias, and especially Asuka deserve better than what they got down under. Seriously. I mean, Kevin Owens, the commentators have been pointing out a lot lately that Kevin Owens debuted on Raw by attacking John Cena, and his first main roster victory was against Cena. And he was the second ever Universal Champion, you know? And Elias is a star that's slowly being built up. He's one of those untouchable guys that no matter what you do to him, the fans are always going to play along with his character. And he's just getting better and better at it. He's not only getting better at being a bad guy, but he's getting better at controlling the crowd, and he's getting better at wrestling. So he ticks all boxes, and apparently Vince McMahon likes Elias, or at least he did at one point. So why is it that they're pairing Kevin Owens and Elias together? They have no connection whatsoever. I mean, it's not like people are looking at KO and saying that he should be some musical tag team partner or something like that. I don't care if KO and Elias are really good at drawing heat separately and together. It doesn't make sense for them to be a team, and it didn't make sense for them to go up against the tag team that they did. Bobby Lashley made sense because they've both been feuding with Bobby Lashley for a while now. Kevin Owens returned after quitting to attack Kevin Owens, or he came back to attack Bobby Lashley is what I'm trying to say. And Elias has been, wrestling Bobby for a couple weeks on Raw now. So that all made sense. What didn't make sense was John Cena being Lashley's partner. Now, I understand that big names draw fans. Alright, I definitely understand that. I understand that this is Cena's first WWE appearance since the Greatest Royal Rumble, where he fought Triple H. It's the first time he's appeared in WWE since GER, as I like to call it. It's the first time since Saudi Arabia. And it just felt out of place to me. Bobby Lashley has been slowly redeeming his credibility thanks to his new manager, Leo Rush. And it's like, you know, I I don't understand why Lio Rush wasn't Lashley's partner. It would have made way more sense. Elias and Kevin Owens. I'm sorry, I'm getting the names mixed up. They've been having a lot of troubles, not just with Lashley, but with his manager Lio Rush as well. Lio Rush, like, he deliberately, uses his acrobatic skills to dodge them repeatedly after really cleverly insulting them. He's a master of his craft, and apparently Vince McMahon likes Lio Rush. So the fact that he wasn't Lashley's tag team partner didn't really fit continuity. If Cena had appeared on Raw this past Monday, or at some point before Super Showdown, then maybe I could have believed it. But it just felt so out of place. And it's not like Cena was passing the torch, because of course Cena and Lashley squashed Elias and KO. KO and Elias, they had the upper hand on Lashley throughout most of the match, and then they had him tag in Cena, and they literally had him do 5 of his 6 moves of doom, and then that was it, and then he wins. And apparently the reason they did that is because Cena has to do a movie, and they don't want him getting hurt in the ring, so they limited his ring time. It doesn't mean that the match was good, though. In fact, it really wasn't. It was super generic, and honestly, it would have been more entertaining and less insulting to our intelligence, in my opinion, if Cena wasn't there at all, and if it was a handicap match, a Lashley event against KO and Elias. If Lio Rush couldn't be in Melbourne, they could have at least explained it better. They, just mentioned it passing on commentary as though Lio Rush not being there didn't matter. It's like, it matters. Lio Rush not being there at, one of the most important pay-per-views of the year, Lio Rush not being there to back up Bobby Lashley is a big deal. It shouldn't be something that the commentators just say, as though it doesn't matter, because it definitely matters. I'm trying not to swear. Anyway, and I'm getting frustrated. I'm just talking about one match on this card. There was another tag team match on this card that pissed me off even more, and that was the women's tag team match. You guys all know the one I'm talking about, which featured Australian-born Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, the Iconics, taking on the makeshift tag team of Naomi and Asuka. Okay, I understand that the Iconics are Australian. Okay, and I get that Super Showdown was in Australia and they wanted the crowd to go home happy. But even the Australians have to know that Asuka has been poorly booked since WrestleMania. Everybody knows that Asuka has been badly booked since WrestleMania. Even the WWE purist can absolutely say that Asuka has been in a bit of a pickle since WrestleMania. She had an awful, awful feud against Carmella, and they really made her look stupid by getting scared of James Ellsworth at Money in the Bank. They absolutely need to rebuild Asuka's credibility, and while her tag team with Naomi wasn't really an ideal way to do it, at least she was winning matches again. And then Super Showdown happened, and her small streak came to an abrupt end because they wanted to have the Australians all win their matches. And I understand that. I love the Iconics. I really like what they're doing. I wish that WWE would actually push them into an LGBT angle, because if anybody can do it, it's them. If anybody's going to do an LGBT angle, it's got to be the Iconics. They can do that. They should be pushed to the moon in the tag team division, because there's going to be women's tag titles. Everybody knows that they're coming. So the Iconics should become tag champs. I absolutely agree with that. But that doesn't mean that you sacrifice one of the biggest women that WWE has ever had on its roster just to send one crowd of fans home happy, while literally every other wrestling fan in the world is going to say it was a dumb decision. And it just didn't do anything good for Asuka at all. And it's not going to do anything good for the Iconics in the long run. Perhaps it will. Maybe WWE are trying to push them to the moon so that they can be more credible when they win the tag titles. But this just isn't the way to do it. I'm sorry, it's just not. Naomi losing, I don't have a problem with it. Naomi has kind of had her time. I'm not really into Naomi as much as I was in 2017. So I'm not mad that Naomi lost. I am mad that Asuka lost, though. Asuka should not have lost at Super Showdown. And if she lost, and I really wish she had turned heel on Naomi, it would have given both of them something interesting to do while still sending the Melbourne crowd home happy. And honestly, I really think that Asuka could be a good bad guy if given the right storyline. So, yeah. I mean, what is Asuka supposed to do at Evolution now? She lost a Super Showdown, her tag team with Naomi is a colossal failure, and she's been booked so terribly since WrestleMania that she has no credible singles match to do at Evolution. It's ridiculous. I don't know what they're doing. I don't get it. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of potential, and WWE are losing their fans because of it. WWE should be shaking in their freaking boots right now because NJPW is so much more successful than they are lately. Raw's ratings are always hitting all-time lows now. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because you're booking beloved baby faces into the ground, you know? Felt good to get that off my chest. Okay. You know, and the rest of this pay-per-view still could have been way, way better. The New Day versus The Bar tag team title match was a good way to kick off the show, I admit. I enjoyed their match. It wasn't as classic as some of their other matches were, but it was definitely a good way to get the crowd pumped. The New Day kicking off a show like this was a wise decision. So I really did enjoy the tag team title match that they had. What I do have a problem with was the fact that a ton of titles were not featured on this show, and I do mean a ton. Like, the Raw Women's title wasn't defended, the Intercontinental title wasn't defended, the US title wasn't defended, and the Universal title wasn't defended. Oh, and the Raw Tag Team titles weren't defended either. Why you have this many titles in WWE if you're not going to defend them? I don't get it. It's like, I understand what they were trying to do. I understand that they're trying to give Ronda Rousey an excuse to compete on a pay-per-view but not actually have to defend her title. I get it. And I get that the Shield and the Dogs of War rivalry is supposed to be the big thing on Raw, but I couldn't care less about it anymore. It piqued my interest when they basically got every bad guy on Raw to attack the Shield. The Dogs of War truly look threatening. And then the next week they come out with axe handles, beat the crap out of everybody, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore. Mike Kanellis, Jinder Mahal, Kevin Owens, the Authors of Pain, Drew Gulak, all those other members of the Dogs of War just stopped showing up. So now it's just a trio again. Doesn't make any sense. And the six-man tag was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I know that all all three members of each stable are really talented. I get it. But I honestly thought this match was going to be terrible, so I'm really happy it wasn't bad. I particularly liked this save near the end of the match. Like, Braun Strowman was about to do a running charge thing at Dean Ambrose into the barricade, and then Roman Reigns just saved him out of nowhere by spearing Strowman through the barricade, which I thought was amazing. And they did this other amazing part in the match where, like, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins were in the middle of the ring, and then Strowman comes up on the apron, Ziggler comes up on the apron, McIntyre comes up on the apron, they're all surrounding them. Then Dean Ambrose comes up on the fourth corner of the ring, and they teased the idea that he's about to attack them with the Dogs of War, which is incredibly well told. I thought this match told a great story of, like, how close the Shield are, how they'll sacrifice each other to make sure that the other one isn't hurt, you know? But I also liked how they teased Ascension from Dean Ambrose, like a small hint that he was going to betray them, but then he ultimately didn't, which I thought was a strong message, you know? And I just thought the match told a good story. Another great match on this show is the WWE title encounter between Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. These two cannot put on a bad match. It doesn't matter if it's a WWE match, because we all know that the AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura feud was very disappointing, but the Samoa Joe AJ Styles feud has been far from that. It's been incredibly well booked, well paced, and the matches tell a great story. Their SummerSlam encounter was amazing, their Hell in a Cell encounter was amazing, and now their Super Showdown encounter was amazing. I think that it was a great trilogy of matches. I know some people are going to complain that Samoa Joe didn't win. Personally, I'm not that mad because WWE does a rematch clause thing, which would mean that AJ and Joe would have to face off again for a fourth time, and I think that 3 times is enough for me. So I'm kind of happy they didn't have Joe win. If they were going to put the title on Joe, they should have done it at SummerSlam or Hell in a Cell. Heading into this, I knew that AJ Styles was going to retain. I had a feeling. One title that was not successfully retained, though, was the Cruiserweight belt, which was defended by Cedric Alexander against another Australian-born, Buddy Murphy, who's actually from Melbourne. So he came in with like one of the biggest pops of the night. And let me just get the record straight that I think that ever since Triple H took over 205 Live, the Cruiserweight division has just been phenomenal. It's totally amazed me how well booked the Cruiserweights have been in 2018. In 2017, they were one of the worst things about WWE. Enzo Amore totally made that show stupid. The Zoe Train was awful. I hated the Cruiserweight division in 2017. They lost Neville. They lost Austin Aries. You know, they just made so many dumb mistakes in 2017. People called 205 Live mini Raw. You know, and then Vince, thank God, Vince decided he wanted to bring back the XFL, which meant he had to give 205 back to Triple H. Thank God, because 205 Live has been way better with Triple H in charge of it. Drake Maverick has been a great general manager, and there's just never a bad match on 205 Live anymore. And the fact that they gave the Cruiserweight such a prominent spot to shine at Super Showdown was great. They gave them the cool down spot at Greatest Royal Rumble. They gave them the second match of the night right after Cena and Triple H. And the crowd was pretty burnt from that, so their match didn't really sit well with the crowd because they were so tired from Cena and Triple H's encounter. And then before that, at WrestleMania, despite how well booked that tournament was and how much they were on the case of the Cruiserweights deserved to show their stuff at WrestleMania, they were booked on the pre-show for the second year in a row. Yeah, I was pretty annoyed at them for doing that again. But finally at Super Showdown, the Cruiserweights had their time to shine, and it was an excellent match, great storytelling. The commentators were totally on point with this. They were going on about how Cedric Alexander was not used to the crowd being against him, and that it wasn't really the crowd was never a factor to Cedric until he went to Melbourne, and now the crowd was booing him. And now it was a factor. And Buddy Murphy just looked like a total champ, no pun intended. He just did amazing. He easily had one of the best pops of the night when he came out, and especially when he won the purple title. You know, it was just such a great moment for Buddy Murphy. It's a long time coming. He ended Alexander's undefeated streak, and he did it in a meaningful way. Here's to hoping that Buddy Murphy has an amazing run as Cruiserweight champ. It's a long time coming. The best kept secret, he's just amazing. I love Buddy Murphy in 2018. He's like one of my favorite wrestlers. He's a guy whose career I'm definitely going to follow for a long time, even if he leaves WWE. He's the best thing to come out of 205 Live since Neville became the king of the Cruiserweights. I honestly think that. So Buddy Murphy finally going on top of the division was really satisfying for me. Now let's get on to that number one contenders match that everybody's talking about between Daniel Bryan and The Miz. I don't know why I said AJ Styles. Forgive me for that. So there was a number one contenders match between Daniel Bryan and The Miz. This was really their third encounter. They fought at SummerSlam and The Miz cheated to win. They fought in a mixed tag team match with their wives also in the match at Hell in a Cell, and Maurice and Miz won via shenanigans. And now, finally, this rivalry seemed like it was going to culminate at Super Showdown. And then the match happened, and the crowd kind of, well, reacted just as well as you could to a match that was 2.5 minutes long. Seriously, WWE, you couldn't have lengthened the pay-per-view or shortened the Triple H Undertaker match. This match should have been at least 10 minutes long. Probably 20. This match, honestly, should have been 20 minutes at least, not less than 3. It was just a bad decision on their part to make the match so short. It made The Miz look weak. It made Daniel Bryan look strong, but not in a way that the crowd will get behind him. It's like, people didn't like it when Sheamus beat Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds, and people aren't going to like The Miz getting beaten in 2.5 minutes. I'm sorry, it's just not going to work in the long run. Hopefully The Miz can redeem himself from this. I'm envisioning a scenario where Daniel Bryan will challenge AJ, and then Miz will interfere and screw it all up for him. And then we can get like a 3-way feud or something like that. Maybe The Miz can win the title, Daniel Bryan can win the Royal Rumble, they can fight in the main event of WrestleMania. If the women don't have the main event, that is. They'll have a match at WrestleMania for the WWE title. I can hope that's what they'll do. I think that's what they should do. By the way, it doesn't change the fact that this match at Super Showdown between the two of them should have been one of the matches of the night, but it was way too short. It was just disastrous to have it so short. And another match I want to talk about is the 6-woman tag team match. The Riot Squad against the Bella Twins and Ronda Rousey. I love Ronda Rousey, okay? There's only one thing I'm not a big fan of her about, and that's that she stole Roddy Piper's gimmick. Me and my mom really don't like Ronda for that. We think that she should have her own gimmick. We think that it's kind of an insult that she's just doing the same thing Piper did. You know, wearing the kilt, the leather jacket, you know, the hot Ronda, a parody of the hot Rod. You know, I know that she and Piper were friends before he died, but it doesn't change the fact that I think it's a little insulting to just take somebody else's gimmick like that. Charlotte has a right to because she's the daughter of Ric Flair, but Ronda's not the daughter of Roddy Piper. I'm sorry, that's the only thing I don't like about her. Everything else about her, though, is phenomenal. She's amazing in the ring, she comes off as a legitimate threat to everybody, but that does work against her, because that does mean that it's really hard to make any of her opponents look threatening against her. But WWE actually did a really good job making Ruby Riott look threatening. They had Ruby and Ronda in a match on Raw last Monday, and it was like the best match of Ruby's career. And that's sort of a thing I'm going to keep touching on. Like, Ronda had her debut at WrestleMania, and it was the best match of Stephanie McMahon's career. Then she had a match against Nia Jax, and it was the best match of Nia Jax's career. And then she had a match against Ruby Riott, and it was the best match of Ruby Riott's career. Ronda Rousey is amazing. The Bella Twins, though, not so much. The Bella Twins, I understand they're really successful from Total Divas and Total Bellas, and I understand that Nikki Bella was the longest reigning Divas champion in WWE history, something the commentators mention a lot. It doesn't change the fact that they're relics from a generation of women's wrestlers that most people are kind of trying to forget about. Just honestly, people are trying to forget about that point in women's wrestling history. The point where women's wrestling matches were bathroom breaks. The point where Natalia's gimmick was that she farted. You know, things like that that were way too silly or way too weird, just didn't make any sense. You know, that point in time where the only likable women's wrestler was AJ Lee, really. Because Beth Phoenix left. Beth Phoenix was awesome, and then she left. And then Tamina Snuka's character just started going down and down and down. And Karma left, and she could have been great. And AJ Lee left. and then Paige kept getting injured. That was just a bad time for women's wrestling. Since the women's revolution happened, we've moved past that, and I really don't think the Bella Twins should be on WWE TV anymore. They're surefire Hall of Famers, though, both of them. I just don't see a reason for them to stay on the active roster. I mean, it's just they felt so out of place at Super Showdown, like next to Ronda Rousey. Why is Ronda even friends with the Bella Twins? I don't see it. And a lot of rumors are circulating that Nikki, Bella, and Ronda are going to face off at Evolution. Honestly, if that's what they're going for, they could not be building it up any worse. They didn't even have any dissension, really. They had very low-key dissension in this 6-woman tag. They had the Bellas constantly keep tagging each other in and kind of neglecting Ronda, which gave me flashbacks to that 6-man tag at WrestleMania 29, which was Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Big Show against The Shield. They kept not tagging in Big Show, and he got pissed at them. It sort of gave me that vibe, except there was no payoff because Ronda didn't get mad at the Bellas. And the Bellas didn't turn on Ronda. Nothing happened. It was really subtle, but subtlety implies that it's building up to something. Or good subtlety in wrestling is what I'm trying to say. It usually means it's going to build up to something by the end of the match, but it didn't. So all this match really did was, be pointless. The Riot Squad did look really good, and Ronda, of course, looked really good in this match, but the Bella Twins, they need to go. I'm sorry, they're just not good. They've never really been all that great. People were cheering for Nikki in 2016. I couldn't stand it. I thought Nikki was horrible. I still think she's bad in the ring, and I think she's very overhyped. I promise I'm not disrespecting them as people. I just really don't care for the Bellas much in the ring. I feel like they have no place at Super Showdown. I don't really think they have a place at Evolution either. They barely have a place in the Women's Royal Rumble match. So, if they're gonna do Ronda versus Nikki, I hope they do it well. As I've mentioned, Ronda has a tendency to take really bad wrestlers and help them through really good matches. So maybe she can actually make Nikki look good at Evolution. Who knows? So the match itself was good. The Riot Squad looked strong, which I'm happy about. So that kind of ticked all the boxes for me. So yeah. Is there any matches that I'm missing besides The Undertaker versus Triple H? I believe I've covered all of them except for that one, so I'll get to that one now. Let me know in the comments if I missed any matches. I apologize if I did. It's been in like 2 days since I saw the pay-per-view now. It's Monday when I'm recording this. Early Monday, actually. Like it's almost 1 in the morning, actually. So, anyway, now we're on to the main event. Triple H versus The Undertaker. Kane is in Undertaker's corner. Shawn Michaels is in Triple H's corner. Oh boy. The entrances alone were 15 minutes, which kind of pissed me off a little bit. Just honestly, it pissed me off right off the bat because I knew that The Miz and Daniel Bryan, the match between Miz and Daniel Bryan, which had happened just before this one, could have been longer if they had made Shawn and Kane not have their own entrances. The Kane and Shawn should not have had their own entrances. They wasted time. Just honestly, they just wasted time in my opinion. The match between Triple H and The Undertaker was far from great. There was great storytelling in this match. Just so you know, I don't think the storytelling was awful. And I liked how Triple H deliberately used his powers as COO to make it no DQ right before the match happened. I thought that was smart of him. And there were some good spots in the match. I liked this one part in the match where like Undertaker had him in a Hell's Gate and Triple H shoved the sledgehammer down on his throat. He teased like the same thing that happened at WrestleMania 27 back in 2011 where like he had the sledgehammer, but then he put him in the Hell's Gate and he dropped the sledgehammer. He teased that happening again, but he kept his grip on the sledgehammer and shoved it against the Undertaker's throat, and he had to release it. The crowd gave a good ovation to that, well deserved. I really thought that was a good scene in the match. You know, and there was this good table bump that I really enjoyed. But besides that, this match was a little slow. And I really do think that if The Undertaker is as slow as he is now, I don't see him and Shawn Michaels having a really good match against each other. I really think that Shawn and Undertaker are past their prime. Triple H is definitely past his prime. I'm not looking forward to the inevitable tag team match at Crown Jewel at all. The ending to the pay-per-view felt a bit predictable. For a split second, I actually thought that they were just going to end it with them all with their arms raised. But, of course, that didn't happen. So, anyway, most of the matches on the show were okay. The tag team matches, as I mentioned, Kevin Owens and Elias against John Cena and Bobby Lashley was a waste of everybody's time. Bobby Lashley should have turned on Cena or something. And, you know, the tag team match, Asuka and Naomi against the Iconics, was also pointless, and it had the wrong people win. The Miz and Daniel Bryan match was way too short. And the Triple H Undertaker match was way too long. But besides that, the Cruiserweight title match and the WWE title match were great. I remember the match now. The one I was missing. I am so sorry. The SmackDown Women's title match. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Whew, how did I forget about that? That is a good match. This match was actually really good. It goes to show that they're two of the best women's wrestlers that WWE have ever had. They had some great storytelling in this match, and the fact that Becky actually retained was good. I think she should have beat Charlotte clean, personally. I didn't like how she disqualified herself. I honestly think that would have been more impactful if Becky had tapped out, or not tapped out. What I'm trying to say is I wish that the ending of this match was just like WrestleMania 13, where, Charlotte has her in the figure 8, but she doesn't tap, she just passes out from the pain, and so she loses the title, but she earns the fans' respect. She already has, but it'll be up here as opposed to just right here. She'll be above the glass ceiling. People are already calling Becky Lynch Stone Cold Steve Austin Reborn, and I totally see it. She's absolutely badass. She's totally revitalized her character since she turned heel. She turned heel, but she's more of an anti-hero. She's gone from being just a bad guy to being, a fan favorite to the likes of Daniel Bryan. Becky Lynch is getting some of the best reactions on WWE TV. She's one of the most consistently entertaining performers on SmackDown. And there's a lot of consistently entertaining performers on SmackDown. So, this match was good. I really hope that they fight at Evolution. I think that they can have the match of the night if they fight at Evolution. I'm just looking forward to that pay-per-view because there's probably going to be some really good matches on the show. I think Alexa Bliss versus Trish Stratus is going to be amazing. And I think Mickie James versus Lita could be really good too. And of course, Charlotte versus Becky Lynch is going to totally steal the show, just like they stole the show at Hell in a Cell, just like they stole the show at Super Showdown. So, they just have one of the best rivalries in WWE today. So Super Showdown, all in all, it could have been better. There was 2 tag team matches that really shouldn't have happened. The SmackDown Women's title match could have ended in a better way. The Miz versus Daniel Bryan should have been longer. Triple H versus Undertaker should have been a lot shorter. And I really do think that the United States title should have been featured on the show. But besides that, the WWE title match was great. The Cruiserweight title match was really satisfying. The SmackDown Women's title match itself, besides the ending, was great. And I really did like the storytelling in that 6-man tag between The Shield and the Dogs of War, and in the main event between Triple H and Undertaker. The storytelling was just on key. And the SmackDown tag title match that opened the show was great. So all in all, it was a half bad show, but a half good show. And for that reason, I'm going to give Super Showdown a rating of a C+. So, Anyway, guys, let me know if you enjoyed this pay-per-view review. I do intend to do this on a regular basis, so please let me know in the comments down below if you want me to start reviewing older WWE pay-per-views or if you just want me to keep reviewing these as they go along. And anyway, have an excellent day, everybody. Bye.